Here we go. All right. Welcome to me and Let's Chop It Up podcast. I'm your host, Double D, and we got a special show today. I'm going to be talking to one of my very close buddy friends of mine, and I'm looking forward to this conversation. We have deep intellectual conversation all the time, man. So we're going to open it up. We're going to let y'all into our world. And we're gonna let y'all know how these two men have conversations and how we talk about our lives, our kids, our jobs, our ups, our downs, and the things that we deal with on a regular basis, on a daily basis, man. Because we lean on each other, man, when we having hard times. This is my brother. He's my friend, but this is my brother. So we're gonna have some conversation today. I'm gonna introduce my man here, Jason McGill. When you get an opportunity, man, make sure you check in. Make sure you follow, subscribe, and become a chopper up person. Damn, I lost my damn. I forgot what I was supposed to say right there. Oh, fuck it. We'll edit that part out. We'll edit that part out. But let me introduce Jason McGill, man. Jason, before you do your introductions, let everybody know where you're from, what you do, who you are, and what it means to be a man to you.
Hey, what's up, D? Hey, man, appreciate you having me on to have this conversation. This is what we do on a regular basis. And for everybody out there that's listening, I'm Jason McGill, as Danny mentioned. This is my man, 50 grand for many years, 30 plus years. We've been rocking with each other.
30 plus, 30.
Oh, this is my guy right here. So, but I'm originally from Miami, Florida, but I rep the A-Town, rep the A. With the school in college, with the college in Atlanta, with the Georgia Tech, basically grew up into a man in Atlanta. That's why I rep the A so hard. So,
the real McGill.
The real McGill. Yeah. But, like I said, from Miami, but, roots down in Atlanta. I'm in cybersecurity sales, IT sales. That's what I've been doing for all these years. Father of two kids, special needs daughter. So that in itself has its own complexities as a father and as a man that you have to deal with in raising a special needs child. But to answer your question, D, as best I can, what does it mean to me to be a man? First and foremost, I would say you have to be a spiritual man, a man who believes in God, a man that chases after God's heart. Yeah. And as long as you're doing that, through the ups and downs of life, he will guide you and direct your path. But also, too, being a part of a man is handling your responsibilities, regardless of how difficult they are. Life may be at the time. Raising your kids, providing for your family, loving on and serving your significant other if you have one, and being a good steward out in this world. If you're a God-fearing man, one of the things that God commands us to do is to go out and serve others. And that's something that I definitely take pride in doing as a man, being a good representation, not only of him, but of other men who are out there trying to do good in this world, make an impact in this world, taking care of their families, taking care of their kids, and raising their kids to be productive citizens in this world. And laying out a blueprint for them to do so. So those are some of the things that I can go on and on about that, but those are some of the things off the top of my head that I can say to me what it means to be a man.
That's what's up. I agree. I don't disagree with anything you said. Because we both generally we kind of walk the same path. You know what I'm saying? Like real talk, like we've been friends since 1990. And I'm gonna tell the story. So I met Jay through another one of our close buddy friends, my best friend, another one of my best friends, Cedric Zachary. We went to high school together, and Ced wound up getting a scholarship going to Georgia Tech, and Jay Gill was down there. Jay Gill was already there, already making noise. That's how he got the name 3-0 McGill. You know what I'm saying? He was on the championship team. So he was already making noise. But when Ced got down there, it was almost like a magnet. Like we kind of just all, I don't know, man. It's kind of unexplainable. but Sid was already down there. So Sid was going to school there. And I was doing whatever the hell I was doing at the time. No, I was raising a son. Actually, I had just had a son, my son Julian. So my plans for life had been put on hold because I was raising a son. And I'm going to talk about that on the podcast, how, you know, being a single father and raising a son during that time of my life, how it changed my life. But so I was coming down there. They were in spring practice, not spring practice, but fall practice. So I was coming down there just to see my homeboy, you know, hang out with my homeboy because we were in Atlanta. We were in the heart of the city. For those of you that don't know, Georgia Tech is in the heart of Atlanta, right? It's right
downtown.
Smack, yeah, downtown Atlanta, right in the smack dab in the middle heart of downtown Atlanta. So, you know, I mean, I don't know. During that time, during that time of our lives in the early 90s, being in Atlanta, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You would have to be there to actually understand what it was about. Or you know, to get the feel for what it was about being in Atlanta during that time, right? So met Jay. We just kind of clicked up immediately, man. It was crazy how it never felt like he was new to the crew, right? It was just, you know, Jay Gill's been around, right? Jay Gill's one of our partners. We got another couple of friends, Daryl Stewart, who's we call him DS, and another one of our friends, Cortez, Taurus Hamlin, but he goes by Cortez. And so it was just like the four of us, right? So, and then here comes Jay Gill. You know, Jay Gill came in and he just ingratiated himself like he was just part of the crew. And it was crazy how, you know, we just all locked up like that. Like we had all been friends as long as me and the other three guys had been friends. So along the way, me and Jay became really, really close. Right, we kind of mirrored each other's lives. We both got married, both had kids. The other guys got married too, but me and Jay were more kindred spirits as far as how we were both maneuvering and moving along in our lives, right? So me and Jay Gilbis became really, really tight. You know, we were, you know, sometimes even in a crew of 5, there's always going to be a couple people that's tighter than, you know, within that crew, you know, that just may be a little tighter than, you know, the rest of the crew. And that's kind of what happened with me and Jay Gill. But man, Jay Gill is my brother. Like I can't say anything different about him other than that. Like he's not only my friend, but you know, he's my brother. And I appreciate the relationship we have established over 30 years. You don't be friends, you're not gonna be friends with somebody for 30 years and it not be meaningful and impactful in your lives. You can have associates that you've known for for 30 years, but best friends like this, like, you know, he's made some impact on my life. And I appreciate having him around and in my life and as my friend. Jay, I want to you touched on something that I wanted to get into, that I wanted to talk about. And I don't know if you've ever really got into this or talked about it before, but what is it like being a man having a special needs child, your daughter? Because Nia is my that's my baby, man. That's my baby. Like, yeah, Nia, man. When she like it's funny, and I'm gonna let you get to the question, but you know, I don't see her often. When I see her, you know, it's Danny, you know, you know what I'm saying? Like I have to control myself because she is special needs, right? Yep. But I have that same energy that she has when she sees me. So I'm like a little kid too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know. So Jay be like, okay, Nia, calm down. You know? But Uncle Danny is just as out of control when I see her as well too. So, but tell me, again, like I don't know if you ever touched on this or talked about this before, or if you're willing to even be open and transparent about this, but just tell me what is it like being a man having a special needs child?
Oh man, first and foremost, I thank God for my daughter. She is, even though in this world she's classified as special needs, but in my world, she is definitely special. You know, she is
Yeah,
who she is. Her name is Nia, but I call her Precious because she is so precious. That's my nickname for her. And but having a special needs daughter, that's a life is challenging by itself. You know,
yeah,
when you just trying to survive and figure life out on your own, and then let alone okay, now you know you tied yourself to someone and you're taking care of, you're making sure you're doing your part for them as well,
right,
meaning her mother. And then you have a child, and taking care of a child without any challenges, developmentally or mentally or anything like that is tough and expensive on its own.
right,
But
right.
raising a special needs child, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, man.
That honestly I can say I I don't know if I was ready for at the time, but I tell you, D, I knew before she was born, we were having a procedure done, an amniocentesis done. And that's for those men who might not know what that is. That's where the doctor goes in, stick this long, long needle inside the belly, the mom's belly, to check the amniotic fluid. And during that, they had the mom on ultrasound, and doing that to make sure that the needle didn't poke the baby, right?
Right.
Poke my daughter. So he sticks the needle in. We see my daughter in there, and she's on the opposite side of where the needle's coming in. So the needle comes into the stomach. It's all on the ultrasound screen.
You
And
can
then
see
all of a
all this
sudden,
happening.
you see all this happening in real time. He's explaining what's
Yeah.
going on. Then all of a sudden, while all this is going on, and he's about to draw out the amniotic fluid, my daughter reaches up and grabs the needle. Right then and there, I pushed all the chips in the table and I fell in love with my daughter in that moment. Because later did I know the doctor was so shocked when he saw that.
Yeah.
He was like, man, I've been doing this for 30 years. I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen a
Yeah.
child
Yeah.
do that in this procedure. But I later found out it's so indicative of my daughter's personality. That's just who she
Right.
is.
Right. Right.
She's just, she's a lover of people, kind of like myself. And her mom is like that as well, too. A precious soul. But she was born 2 months premature, weighed 3 pounds, 5 ounces when she was born. Stayed in the hospital for the first 2.5 months of her life. And I
Yeah.
was there every single day. And that was the journey. That was the start of the journey of all the different doctor's appointments,
Yeah.
meetings, sickly nights,
Yeah.
and different things, therapies that she had to go through. But the thing that I think the reason why she inspires me and has inspired me all these years is because throughout all those challenges, she does it with a smile on her face.
Yeah.
And she does it with, a good attitude. She does her best when she is a little stressed and
Yeah.
challenged. But again, she does it with a great attitude. And I've been such a huge fan of my daughter, but also too such a huge supporter of hers, that I don't know anything other than that. I don't know any. It's normal for me, even though it's
Yeah.
challenging. It's
Yeah.
it's mentally challenging, it's emotionally challenging, but it's also emotionally uplifting, um, uh, um, um, and just inspiring at the same time because you learn a lot about yourself. You
Yeah,
learn around.
man.
You learn a lot about the others around you that are
Yeah.
there to support you, um, and you step in and you do what you have to do.
Yeah.
God will equip you with those things even when you don't think you know what to do.
Yeah. Even
Um,
when you don't think you got the strength to do it. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. And so it has its challenges, man, but it's been far more inspiring and uplifting raising my daughter, who is now 24 years old.
I was just about to ask you. Yeah, I was about to ask you. Yeah, 24. Yeah.
24. It's amazing just to even say that, because I remember when she was born, man, doctors was telling us she probably wouldn't live through her teenage years. You know, she probably wouldn't walk until she was a teenager. When I say God is good, because she's done.
Yeah, she was walking way before that.
She's overachieved and outlasted all of those diagnoses early in the beginning. And then, you know, so again, you know, everyone that comes in contact with her, they love her personality. You know, she's a social butterfly, and just loving on people as well, and being loved on by her daddy. She's the epitome of a daddy's girl.
Yeah, daddy's girl, boy. That girl, boy.
Yeah, she is a daddy's girl.
That girl love her daddy, boy. I can't tell you.
I love her too. You know, and everybody that sees us together, they see it. They know it. They know that.
They can see the magnetism between the two of y'all.
Yeah, they see the magnetism, the magic, the chemistry between us. And it's just so natural. I'm her safe space, and she's mine as well, too. So, you know, but despite that, man, it's been inspiring. It's led me down paths and put me in situations to where I've been able to help other people who are faced with the same situation, who are raising a special needs child. You know, for me to give them counsel, to give them guidance, just based off of my experiences and what to look for and what to prepare for. So it's been exciting, man. I don't have through the challenging times, I don't look at them as negative situations. They're learning lessons and building opportunities. I've always looked at it that way. And I continue to look at it that way and take that approach as I continue to raise her as an adult.
Yeah, that's man, and it's commendable, man. And you know, I don't have to say that, bro. Like, you know how we all feel about Nia. You know how we feel about you. You know, there's nothing that we won't do to help, to assist. Like we ride with Jay. You know what I mean? And we ride with Nia. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you something. How was it? Because you guys were just married. You and Joanna was just married when Nia was born, right?
Actually, no, we weren't married. We were talking about getting married.
Oh, okay,
we got married after she was born because of.
You got married after. Okay.
Yeah, after all the challenges. Yep.
Okay. So, well, that kind of changes the dynamic of my question, because you guys weren't married when Nia was born. Do you think? Yeah, that kind of changed the whole question. That changed up the whole question from that point, because I was going to ask, you know, being married, having a special needs child, like what were some of the challenges? But like you guys weren't married when you all had her, and you all still decided to get married after the fact, because just being real, in most cases, somebody would have dipped. You know, not in most cases, but in a lot of cases, somebody wouldn't have wanted to take on that challenge, right? Or they would have been half in, half out inside the situation, right? But you know, you guys decided to get married, and you guys were strong. Like I said, Jay, we've been friends for years, so you guys were already strong. But what kind of challenges did you all face during that time?
Well, it's funny looking back on it. You know now what you didn't know then. You know, a better idea, better sense then. It was a challenge. It was a challenge for us. You know, Mom really took it personally. You know, when our daughter was born, she felt like it was her fault that she was the way that she was, and just that by itself created challenges. You know,
what is Nia suffering from? If I'm saying that the right way, what is her diagnosis?
So it's a rare, extremely rare condition. It's called agenesis of the corpus callosum, and what that is so in between our
time fast.
I know, right? I know. In between our right and left lobes of our brains, there's a canal that's filled with fibrous nerve endings that allow the lobes to talk to one another. So
Okay.
hers was born partially missing. And
Mm.
so originally they actually thought when her mom was pregnant with her, they thought she had water on the brain, or technical term is hydrocephalic, right? And but after she was born, that's when they were able to officially diagnose her as agenesis of the corpus callosum, and that affected, cognitive, physical, mental, all of those things. So she had to have physical therapy, speech therapy. She couldn't talk until she didn't really speak and say her words, start to say words until she was maybe 4 or 5. But she understood everything, but she just couldn't formulate her words at the time.
Right.
She had some other things, some other challenges. She had tracheomalacia as well, that caused her to make a sound when she breathed, and aspirate if she drank liquids. So we had to thicken her liquids in order for her to drink liquids. It was a lot of different things that we had to do on a day-to-day basis just to keep her alive and keep her afloat and keep her, surviving. But that took its toll on mom. It really did, mentally. Yeah. Because she was so locked in on what had happened and the outcome. It wasn't the dream fairy tale of having, that daughter, that she could connect with and bond with. She struggled with connecting with our daughter in the beginning, right? And a lot of it was just that internal battle. I think looking back on it now, and I think it's funny because her and I don't think we've ever really had this conversation, but just from my guess, I think she was dealing with some sort of form of postpartum.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you, do you think she was suffering? And let me say this while we're talking. Neither one of us are doctors.
Right.
We're just very logical people. Both of us are very logical. Right. Yep. So I'm saying she probably was suffering from postpartum and she couldn't deal with it because she had a special needs daughter.
Yeah.
Right. So she probably was suffering from some things, mentally, emotionally, as well too. So yeah. You're right. Go ahead, Joe.
And let me you make this clear about her mom. Her mom is great. She loves her daughter. She does I love their relationship at this age, in this stage of Nia's life. And mom has done a hell of a job of taking care of our daughter throughout the years. I definitely have to give her kudos, give her all the props in the world, because she's an amazing mom. She's done great things with our daughter and our son, for that matter, as well too. But at that time we didn't know what it was, because she was emotional, very emotional. A lot of things going on at the time, and it put a strain on our relationship at the time as well. But I did my best to navigate everything. Making sure that I was there for our daughter. I got up in the middle of the night. I took her to all the doctor's appointments. I did a lot of these things, and it wasn't. I didn't do it for no kudos, no
pats on the back.
It was just
congratulations, none of that.
It was my natural instinct kicking in. Yeah, it was my baby. It was my natural instincts kicking in and stepping up to the plate as the man in that relationship and her father, and doing what I had to do, and supporting mom as best I could with my limited knowledge of, this is my first child. That was the first time I ever had a scare, had a woman pregnant, anything in my life. I was 29 years old. So that whole experience was all new to me. And it was new for both of us. I will say that. And so, but I will say, we definitely had our moments where we locked in and we did what we needed to do to take care of our daughter, despite the strain and the stress that it put on us. And we had good times in the midst of that as well. But it did put strain on us. But leaving and cutting and running was never a thought for me. It never crossed my mind. I was going to ride it out and do what I needed to do to take care of my family.
Right. So you mentioned your son. You mentioned little Jay. That's my dog too. He hit me up yesterday. He hit me up the other day on TikTok.
Ah,
Yeah. He was like, Uncle Dan.
yeah,
Yeah, he
yeah,
hit me up the other day. So that's my guy.
yeah.
So but you all had little Jason while you all were married, right?
Yeah. We were married.
Being married. Yeah.
Yeah, so Neil was born in 2001. I think we got married in 2002. So we
Okay.
got married a year later, and then we had Jason 2 years after that in 2004. And that's my little mini me, my little big fella, as I call him.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
My guy,
Yeah. Yeah.
he's in the army. In the army, he actually just yesterday. And speaking of that, D, I got to send you pictures because I talked to him yesterday and he sent me pictures. So he just finished sergeant training, so he's getting
What?
ready to be promoted to sergeant. Yeah, he just finished.
Already?
Yeah, already. Yeah. He's doing
Man,
this.
he must be doing good.
Yeah, he's doing this thing.
Yeah, that's what's up.
He has a driver now. He has an assistant. Yeah, he's doing this thing, man.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know, right?
Wait a minute, dog. Wait a minute.
Yeah, man. He's an
So
officer.
he has somebody driving him around now?
Yeah, he's an officer. Yep.
I'm gonna have to holler at Jay. I'm gonna have to give him a shot.
Yeah. I give you his new number and everything, but he sent me pictures of the ceremony and everything. And that's my guy, man. I'm so proud of that boy. Excuse me, he's no longer a boy. That young man.
No, he's gonna always be your boy now. He's gonna always be your boy. But you're right, he's a man. He's a man. Yeah.
I want to acknowledge that and give him his just due because he's earned that. But yeah, he's doing amazing. He was an amazing kid as a young kid. He was just like he is today as an adult. He was the same way as a kid. And the thing I love about Jason is that when he was born, it's funny because Nia, he was the best thing to happen to Nia. And I say that to say, what I mean by that is having him around with no challenges, no, as a quote unquote normal child, it really helped Nia. It really pushed her beyond measure. She wanted to run after him. She wanted to do everything with him.
Imagine that. Yeah.
And I remember a doctor's appointment when Jason was probably maybe 2-3 years old. And they had the same pediatrician, and the pediatrician, she was amazing. She was one of the best pediatricians in the South. Her husband was a top brain surgeon in the United States as well too. And this is a black couple too. This is a black couple.
Okay.
And, she was amazing. And but I remember she said to us one day, she said, "Hey, the best thing that's going to happen to Nia is Jason." And at the time, we didn't. We kind of got it, but didn't really understand the impact.
Didn't quite grasp it right away.
Yeah. But through the years, we've seen it. We've seen the impact that he's had on her life just by being born and being around. And he is their relationship is amazing. They're so close. She love her JJ, as she call him, JJ.
JJ.
Love her JJ, and always super protective of him. She is the big sister. And she'll remind him every now and then that she's big sister too. So, I love their relationship. They're super close. And he's been, he loves his sister, super protective of her. And it's amazing to see them now as adults in their lives still have that childlike bond with each other.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he don't play about his sister either.
Nah, he don't play.
He don't play about Nia. He do not play about Nia.
Hey, she don't play by him either. She did not play about her sister. She don't care if it looks like somebody messing with her, she will step in between them and her brother. No problem. She when I say I have to sometimes like really reel her in, like reel her back because she's that protective.
She's that protective of him.
Yeah, she will go after somebody for her brother. No problem. I've had to pull her off kids numerous times. So trying to protect her brother. Seriously.
Yeah. That's what's up. That's good. So you got Nia, Jason, you got little Jason Jr. And being a father to both of them, I'm sure there was different challenges or different things that you had to deal with. Even with both of them, having one special need child And as you say, one normal, as you said earlier, like one normal child. So, um, as like man wise, like what was that? What was those challenges or those different aspects of like being a father for both of them? You know what I mean? Like what were some of the challenges that you dealt with the most, being a father to a special needs child and with little Jay?
I think for me, it's the balance. It's creating that balance.
Yeah,
You know, of I think it's creating a balance of not only being a father, but also too as a husband, also too as a friend. I was also working. It's
yeah,
finding that balance within everything. I think
yeah,
because my daughter has special needs, I poured so much into my kids that I didn't always have balance in other areas of my life.
yeah,
And I didn't necessarily even know how to even create that balance
yeah,
because honestly, I was figuring it out, as I went. I didn't
yeah,
have that real blueprint. I'm not gonna say blueprint, but I didn't have that real constant in your ear, like, hey, do this, do that. You might want to think about these things, this, that, and the other. I had my support structure around me, but I was so locked in to my kids and being there for my daughter because it was so much going on with her, just
yeah,
medically. And then now raising another young, child, it was a
yeah.
lot. It was a lot. I can say that. And looking back on it, and I don't think I was always on go, always on go.
Yeah,
And I
but see, that's
never,
what we do, right? That's what we do. That's one of the things that I wanted to talk about. Like we just go, like all we know because that's what we saw our own fathers do, right? We may not have known the challenges or the struggles that our fathers were dealing with. Those of us who were raised with fathers.
right,
So let me make sure I address that as well too. Um, Like all we knew was just move forward. Me and Sid was talking about this a couple of weeks ago. Like that move. All we know is forward motion. Like it did nothing. We know nothing but how to move forward. If there's a challenge, you know, just step over that speed bump, or jump over the speed bump
yep,
and keep going. Right.
yep, yep,
So and I can definitely understand, not understanding because I was in your physical space,
right,
right? But I can understand the challenges that you may have been going through because you were a new father, you were a new husband, you had a daughter with special needs, and then you had a son, you had a marriage, you had a wife, you had a job, you had protect, provide, secure, like bruh.
it's a lot,
And even being friends, I didn't even
right,
consider all those things, right? We was just homies,
right,
right?
yep,
So when we got together, it was more that it was probably something that you needed, right? It
right,
was probably something that you actually needed because man, you was just moving forward. You was
yep,
just going through with life, just trying to be the best father, the best husband, the best man you could be, right? So, and I said that to say because it just dawned on me at that moment. We even though we were friends, like the challenges and stuff that you were actually dealing with, like we never talked about.
right, true, yeah. And it's something I never really talked about with anybody because honestly, man, I was processing it myself. Going through it real time.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't know what I didn't know. So every experience, every day was new.
It was new.
It
Yeah,
was
it
new.
was a new
Like
experience every day. Yeah.
every day, it was new.
Jay, you think
And
you got PTSD?
um, I wouldn't call it PTSD. I think it definitely impacted things later on in my life.
Yeah,
But I don't think I don't necessarily say I wouldn't necessarily classify it as that. Maybe if I was
yeah,
medically diagnosed and talked to somebody, they might classify it
yeah,
as
yeah.
that.
My
You know,
sister, my sister says all black men have PTSD.
Right. And I believe that in some shape, form, or fashion, I think we do.
Yeah.
I agree. But what I classify that as that because that comes with such a negative connotation, that's the reason why I say no.
Yeah.
I got so much enjoyment and fulfillment out of that experience that I don't want to dampen it and cheapen it by adding that label. You know what I mean?
That label onto it,
But I do recall, I will say this. I recall years later, to your point about not really talking to people about it, talking to you guys about it, and just living it. I remember years later, a friend of ours actually, Danya Lawson.
Yeah.
D. What up, D? She asked me, we hadn't seen each other in years. And this was the first time it had really hit me. And the first time I had been throughout all of that I'd been going through in life, right?
Yeah.
And not really talking about it to people and just doing what I got to do and living life and so on and so forth. We sat down one day for coffee or something, and she asked me the question. She was like, "Hey, Jason, so how are you doing?"
Yeah.
And when I say D, she asked me that question, I was totally thrown off. It was the first time I had a moment to stop and really reflect and think. And when I say I became so emotional that it was hard for me to even answer the question.
Did you cry, dog? Did you cry?
Yeah, I cried, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I cried. Yeah, I cried.
Yeah.
The emotions that came, it just came like a floodgate that opened up. And I didn't see it.
That question is never really asked to a man. Right. How you doing?
Right.
We always be like, "What's up, dog?" But for somebody to genuinely ask you how you doing, and you have to, and if you're in a space where you can compute it and digest it, in most cases you're gonna cry.
Yeah.
Real talk.
Yeah, that happens to me, man. And it's funny because there's only been a few times I've had, because even since then, life has been life, and my daughter still has challenges. She deals with seizures. Yeah. She deals with different other medical challenges throughout the years, even to this day. But I've only had a few other people ask me that. And every single time that question is asked of me, I get emotional. And it just hits me because after the question's asked, after it was actually me the first time by Danya, and I, responded, gave my response, then life continued. Still deal with issues. So I go right back into go mode. You know what I mean? And so I never really sit with that. Got a chance to really
process it.
Process it on my own. I didn't invest in myself enough to do that because I was just on go. Yeah. And but every single time after that, somebody asked me that question, it was an opportunity, it was a moment of vulnerability for me. And it was just my response, my reaction would be always the same. Like, man, the way it was almost like the weight of, I could feel the weight of the world on my shoulders in my response, And so, now I'm much better about it now because I do try to take the time out to process it, to talk to God about it as well, and talk to others and have these type conversations with other people about it. Because my testimony, my experience could be a testimony for somebody else.
Absolutely.
So I had to learn that. That's why I talk about it. I deal with it head on, and not afraid to talk about the challenges, the good times, the bad times, and everything else in between.
Yeah. I think that's what the normal course of action for most men is. We just take it with a grain of salt, man.
Yeah.
We take it with a grain of salt, and we just keep moving forward. Like that it just appears to be the only thing that kind of makes sense.
Right. Right. True.
Just moving forward. Yeah.
Because also too, there's expectations, regardless of what's going on. You still gotta provide. You still gotta secure. What you need to secure, whether it's protect, you got to do what you still got a job to do.
Yeah.
So, those just innately, if you're a man of integrity and a man who really,
any kind of character, man.
Yeah, who takes pride in
any kind of sense of being a man or have any type of semi-relationship with the Almighty, like there's going to be a level that you're going to always want to get to, or you're always going to strive to be at it. You're not going to look for anybody or anything to pat you on the back.
Right. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's nice to have it because it's motivating. It's inspiring. It's also an acknowledgement of your efforts and the work you put in. And it's a necessary thing, even though I know we as men aren't always raised to tap into our emotions and deal with those things.
Yeah, get up. Get up.
Stop crying. Don't be emotional.
Stop crying.
Don't do all those things, man. But you know what? God made us. He made humans, men and women, emotional creatures. Now, how we deal with those emotions and how we tap into those things, they're different based on gender, right? But we're not void of emotion. You know what I mean?
At all.
We're not void of those things. So we have to do a better job as society in really embracing that and harnessing that when it comes to men, black men and white men, just men in general, regardless of religion, race, color, creed. It doesn't matter. We all, as men, face the same challenges and have the same expectations laid at our feet.
Yeah.
So, we have to figure out ways, and things like this, real conversations like this, are ways that we can kind of, use our own experiences and be able to help another brother out, whether it's a black brother, but a man out.
Yeah, Mexican, it don't really matter.
Yeah, it don't matter. These things like this can help us navigate throughout life in our challenges.
And this was, the premises behind me starting this podcast, because I just had this need. I just felt this need where there are other podcasts out there that talk to men and have men, perspectives, whatever. But I didn't see anything from a non-celebrity level. You know what I mean? Like, it's a bunch of celebrities out here giving advice and talking to people, and I just didn't think, like guys like me and you were having these kind of conversations, real conversations about life, right? Having conversations about, the light bill and the struggles sometimes, like, raising daughters and raising sons, you know what I'm saying? Like, just being just having real conversations about real life.
Also, too, not to cut you off, but also too, like you said, raising kids, making sure we provide and making sure that the bills is taken care of, and wifey or your lady got what she needs, and we're there to support her mentally, emotionally, and everything else too. But the thing, not only are the kids growing, your wife is growing and aging, you're aging as well as a man. You're evolving as a man and dealing with emotional and physical challenges that might not seem important, but are important, that need to be addressed as well too.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting older sucks. It sucks. I ain't gonna lie. I thank God though. I thank God for the ability to get older, because I have friends that didn't make it to be 53, right? Yeah. I know people that didn't make it to 53. So it's my job at this point in my life to make sure I'm taking care of myself. Like I said, I was talking to somebody a couple of days ago. Like, I had some health challenges a few weeks ago. I just found out I have Crohn's disease. Oh. Yeah. And I know how I got it. I know, it's just, it actually started from an ulcer, stress, stuff like that. Like, but there was, and I know that was kind of the graduation to the next part of it. But like we were talking about before, like, I was just going, man, just going, working, going. Kids, work, just paying bills, taking care of the house, buy kids' car breakdown, gotta do this, My son was dealing with some legal issues, just man, just going, just not being able to actually sit down and breathe because somebody else needed the air. You know what I'm saying? Somebody else needed the air.
Yeah.
I got to give. I'm giving air that I don't even have.
That's real.
But I'm trying to make sure everybody else got air. And then my Bible's like, hey, sit your ass down.
Right.
That's enough. All right, that's enough. Sit down. You can't keep going like this at 100 miles an hour. You can't do it. Right. Yep. And the other part of that is what I was saying to you about not even knowing that you were dealing with those things you were dealing with. Like I wasn't talking to anybody about the things that I was dealing with.
Right.
Because that's not the place that we come from. Like we don't come from discussing issues. We don't talk about, stuff like that. Now, when our wives are getting on our nerves,
we'll talk about that.
We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna vent all day long. We're gonna let that stuff out, right?
True.
Because that's the stuff we're comfortable talking about. Because most of us know all of our wives are headaches at some point in our lives, right? So we have
just as we are. Hey, let's be fair. Just like we can be headaches too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not gonna bash us though. You can do that. You can do that part. You can take up for us.
Yeah.
You can take up. You can take up for us. You know me, Jay. I don't take it easy. I ain't easy on them at all.
Yeah, I'll provide the balance.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it's just a matter of I just had to sit like my was having so many issues that my body was like sit down. So I get it and I understand. We have our norms are just to keep going. That's our norms, right? Without having a space to actually talk about it and get through and figure some things out. Because therapy is not something that's been a normal thing within the Black community, right? Which is also like, and I just said this the other day, like Black people, Black families, we don't talk about our problems because that's a residual effect from slavery, right? And we've taught our families, we've carried that down through generations, not to talk about what's wrong.
Right. Because
massa might kill you.
Right.
Or ship you off to another plantation. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So all the fear and all that stuff that happened, it just carried on within the family, right?
Right.
And not going to the doctor and not seeing what's wrong, and you better not go to sleep after you bump your head. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Falling.
Right.
You better not go in there and take some Robitussin. You'll be all right.
Right. Hey, get the calamine lotion.
Yeah. All them things, like all those things that we just kind of carried down along the way, like not going to the doctor, not going to see therapists. All those things were just learned behaviors that, we picked up along the way. But hopefully somewhere along the way, hopefully this podcast will be, a jumpstart to men actually having an opportunity to talk, and it don't have to be to me. Like, I'm not saying come talk to me. Like, grab your boy, like I'm talking to Jay. All right?
Yep.
Grab your boy, talk to Jay. I mean, you ain't necessarily got to talk to Jay, but
right.
Whoever your partner is, whoever your partner is, grab your partner, talk to your partner, and talk about something other than, how fine she is, or
true,
the Falcons or the Dolphins. You know what I'm saying? Like, have some real meaningful conversation about some things, and hopefully, we can begin to heal, because healing is where we need to get to. What needs to happen? A space where we all are healed, and we can be better, and we can give the air that we need to give to the people that actually need it, without being, giving air that we don't have.
Right. True. And it's providing a platform for a safe space for men to find common ground, like you said, and have these conversations.
Yes.
To be vulnerable. You know, one thing that I've as I've gotten older, one thing that I've really tapped into is being okay being vulnerable. You know, being okay talking about the hard conversations. I haven't always been good at that. You know, I've tried to get better at that because that's a release. But you also have to surround yourself around like-minded individuals too.
Yeah.
You know, who can not only provide that platform for you to be in that safe space for you to be vulnerable, but who can pour into you and pour good into you, not just pour nonsense into you or worldly things that won't really benefit you into you, you know, but pour godly word, true experiences and food into your spirit, you know, because that helps us, you know, be able to, you know the saying, iron sharpens iron.
Iron sharpens iron. I was just about to say it. Yeah.
We need that. We need those things. So whether it's on podcasts like this, whether it's with, you know, celebrity podcasts, which I would do, I wish they would do more, but in our own neighborhoods, man, in the barbershops, you know, at the gatherings that you have at the crib, you know, with the fellas, you know, take a moment, carve out a moment for there to be fellowship, for there to be pouring in to one another. You know, the card games and the music and all that is fine, and that has its place, but we also have to make sure we incorporate and adopt those things into those gatherings as well too, because that's an opportunity for us to be together, and it's the perfect platform and time for us to pour into one another and have these hard conversations. Hey, talk to your brother about what you're going through. You got your confidants around you. You can get some nourishment. You can get some advice. You can get some guidance as well too. You know, and who knows what impact that can have on your life.
You know, for a long time, and I'm not sure if this applies to any other race of people, but for a long time, having these conversations amongst the Black community was gay, right? It was gay to show emotions. It was gay to be, and this was I meant to bring this up. So I follow this guy named Jason Wilson, right? Black guy, bald head, gray beard.
Yep.
Yeah, he is deep. So he was on a podcast and he said he was talking about the difference between being vulnerable and being accessible, right? So one of the gentlemen was like, I got to learn how to be more vulnerable. He was like, you don't want to be vulnerable. That's not what you want to be, right? He said vulnerable means it's danger somewhere in the vicinity, right? So your emotions are high and you need to be aware because there's danger around. So that's what vulnerable would mean to a man. Accessible is where you want to be, right? So accessible means you're least emotional, your ears are open, and you're able to take in whatever that thing is that you're trying to get or somebody needs to receive from you, right? And when he said it, immediately I was like, yo, that's deep, because that's something that was always talked about, being vulnerable. Like, just think about when you tell your lady, like, I can't be vulnerable with you, right? Or that what space do I have to be vulnerable with you? So the point of being vulnerable and accessible, like, it made perfectly good sense to me when it comes to conversation with other people, right? So when we're in these spaces where we can have true, genuine conversation, he was saying we need to be accessible and open to the conversation. So when you're emotional, you're less likely to hear what's actually going on, because your emotions can, what's the word I'm looking for? Mislead you.
Right.
when you're being
Right.
emotional. You know how it is when you're talking to your lady, she emotional. And you can't hardly get that out because she, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I ain't gonna go down that road.
For sure. But you know what? I like that. I like what you said. I like what Jason said as well too. And as I think about that, when I hear that, I think and correct me if I'm wrong, the way you explain it, it's like, okay, being vulnerable means that there's danger around and you're vulnerable for hurt or
Your emotions are hot. It's a highly emotional place.
Emotional space, right? And then
Yeah.
acceptable, emotions are low, and you're able to be open and receiving what's around you, right?
Yeah.
When I hear that, I think to me they kind of go hand in hand, and sometimes they can be opposites of one another. Meaning vulnerability can be better than accessibility. And what I mean by that is this: even being accessible, we still have to be mindful of what we receive, because we don't want to have ourselves, we don't want to have or allow everyone to have access to it.
Right.
And being accessible, right?
Yeah.
So yes, we're accessible, but that's inviting any and everything in that can then put you in a vulnerable space as well too, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
You know,
it does. It makes perfectly good sense. It makes perfectly good sense. Yeah. So, how are you doing since losing your brother?
Yeah.
I didn't.
That's
I didn't know. Yeah. I wanted
that's
to ask you. I wanted to ask
mhm.
you about that because I wanted to. I ain't know how to get into it, so I just decided to ask you. How's it going?
Yeah, nah, it's all good. You know, man, first of all, let me tell the people about my brother. So
Yeah, man.
2
Talk a
years
little bit.
ago, be 3 years. Yeah, be 3 years this man, I can't believe I'm even saying it. Be 3 years this July,
bro?
July 26th.
It'll
Yeah,
be
man.
3 years.
Think,
Man,
be
this
three
time
years. Hold
going
on,
by fast.
Let me make sure. 23, 24, 25. No, it'd be 2 years.
2 years. Okay.
Be 2 years since my brother passed. My baby brother, my youngest brother, uh, Brian, he he passed away. He passed away suddenly, and it has. That was my guy, man. That was my little mini me before my son, my daughter even came around.
Yeah.
Born, and he was my shadow. He was, he slept with me up until the time I graduated in my room. When I would come home from college, he would cry when it was time for me to leave. Like I was big bro. I was like, his he really looked up to me, really admired me. Our relationship was still super close, solid. That was my guy, and but yeah, he suddenly passed away. And honestly, D, I can't say that. I don't know, man. I still am processing that.
Yeah.
I'm still dealing with that. It still has an impact on my family, my mother, my father, my brothers, because we're a close knit family, and we loved my youngest brother, and it still has an impact on us collectively as a family, but also to individuals, and for me, it's been a struggle not having him around, not being able to really,
Pour into him.
see him and pour into him, and him pour into me. We just like these conversations I used to have. Me and him used to have these conversations. And talk about different things. So it's been a challenge, man. But God is God is good. You know,
Yeah.
God does everything for a reason, and my faith is still strong. You know,
Yeah.
but I can't say that I don't miss my brother. I don't miss him being around. I don't miss our conversations, our interactions, and just his presence, man. His smile, and just his presence, his energy is contagious. And so I'm still processing that, man. If I have to be honest with you, I haven't gotten over that. I've accepted it, what it is and what God has called it. But, I'm still sad about it. I'm really sad about it because I love my brother. I miss him, and just miss him.
Yeah. I remember, the day when you called me, and told me about it, and bro, we was both boo-hooing on the phone, dog. Like,
Yeah,
man,
man.
we was crying like we got whoopings.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yo, I'm talking about it was such a shock to hear, man. Like I was and not even being insensitive, like I just couldn't fathom it. You know what I'm saying? Like it just man, I just not
Didn't
even
seem real.
It didn't seem real. It didn't seem real, dog. And I just remember us being on the phone, and just us talking. I think we prayed together. Um, you know, that's why I say you my brother. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say why I label us this way, because we do things and we talk about stuff, and like we have a genuine closeness as a friendship that doesn't have any boundaries to. You know what I'm saying? Like there's not anything where like we're not. No, we gonna laugh together. We gonna cry together. We gonna pray for one another. You know what I'm saying? Like we gonna do all those things. That's not typical for two men having a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Two men being friends the way we are friends. You know what I'm saying? Um, and that was something I wanted to get on the pod. I wanted people to see that two grown men, we've been friends for over 30 years. We've cried together, we laughed together, we prayed together, we've experienced life together. Like when I lost my mom, you was there for me 100%. You know what I'm saying? Like it's always been like a real genuine friendship. And we've had struggles. We've had fallouts. You know what I'm saying? We've had things come up, but the solid thing is that we stay solid with one another, right?
And that's the thing, Dean, not to cut you off, just to add on to what you said. One of the biggest things that I love most about our relationship is the accountability factor.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I love the most about it. Because one, like you said, we've had our I don't even call them dust ups. We've had our mishaps in our relationship, and that happens with any relationship. But like you're right. We're solid. We hold each other accountable. If I'm out of pocket, you have no problem letting me know and showing me and telling me where I'm out of pocket, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And how we get back on the right path, or how do I get back on the right path, or vice versa. You know what I mean? So that's all. It can't just always be everything good and everything. Those things are important too, but the accountability thing is just as important, if not more important, because that feeds into the other stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what helps with other things. Yeah.
Exactly. That's one thing I do love. I always loved about our relationship is that accountability factor, that we hold each other accountable on real issues, for real stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the thing is, it ain't taken personal. I know it ain't coming from a bad place, you know. I know that. I know where it's coming from, a good place, and I know if Double D is checking your boy, I'm out of pocket. I'm out of pocket, and I gotta get right because he's my brother's keeper, and I'm my brother's keeper. Bro, you out here, you gotta tighten up here in this space, bro. You tripping, or you know, you're not handling this the right way. And here's some things that maybe, what's going on? How can I help? You know what I mean? How can I guide you? What can I say to help you? And vice versa, you know. So that's one thing I always loved about our relationship. And I think, and I know you talk about, you know, the history of our relationship and where we met. I think I can say this for me. I think, you know, early in our relationship, like I said, we was all tight. But I think when you and I gravitated, because it was intentional by me, because to really connect with you, like on another level, it was real intentional for me. And I don't know if I ever said this to you or not, but I remember, you know, saying it's kind of the linchpin for us all, the glue for us all, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I have my relationship with Sid, you know, DS, Tez, you know, and you, and we, you know, we was cool, we was this, that, and the other. But I remember one day, I think I might have been going through something. This was when you was a barber. You was a barber back then. And I remember one day thinking, you just kept coming on my mind and in my heart. And I remember saying, looking at our relationship, and I remember saying to myself, I'm having this real desire and need to really connect with Danny and pour into Danny. And we would hang out and this, that, and the other, but it grew into where we are today. You know, where our relationship is today, and this, that, and the other. And that was the moment for me. I remember saying, I'm gonna go get a haircut. I'm gonna have Danny go cut my hair. I'm gonna be intentional about it. And go hang out with D. And really like spend some time with D. And that was the start for it with me. And I'm glad I did that, man, because like you said, we overlapped and our lives mirrored each other in so many different ways. I started to see that. And then I think for me, in that moment, that's where our real personal friendship and real personal connection
begin to
really grew and evolved. Exactly.
Yeah.
You my guy, man. You my guy.
Yeah, and thanks for reminding me, because I forgot I used to be a barber. I was a barber for 20 years and forgot about it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. A damn good barber too, bro.
Yeah. But here's the thing about you, said DS Cortez, right? So because I've known said Cortez and DS the longest, those are my oldest friends. Like, there's a level of accountability to them that I have,
right,
that you just kind of meshed right into, right? Like it was like I said before, it was, you know, it was just organic. It just happened organically, right? So you guys have always been able to check me, right? Because I'm the don't give a what I say person. Right. I'm the one that whatever I'm thinking, that's what come out my mouth.
Yep.
Right? And you guys have always been the one to be like, hey, come on, man. Come on, dog. Like, you guys have always been the ones that be like, bro, you can't like, I said this all the time. Like, I remember the day said to me, bro, you can't always say what you thinking.
Yeah.
Right? Because even though I may have good intentions,
right,
with what I'm saying, it don't always come out. You know what I'm saying? It don't always come out right. Right. It don't always come out right. So that has helped me over the years to kind of get some curve or some pullback, right? Because I'm still gonna say whatever I want to say or whatever comes to my mind, but it has helped me to put a little curve on it in some way. You know what I mean? A little filter. Yeah, to put a little filter on it. Because, you know, it don't always serve me purpose to say you know, exactly what I'm thinking of, what always on my mind. You guys, my friends, can take it because y'all know I don't have ill intent, and I don't have ill intent when I'm saying things, but you guys can take it with a grain of salt and be like, man, shut your ass up. You know what I'm saying? Or go sit down somewhere.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when it comes down to other people won't always receive me that way because they don't have 35, 40 years of relationship.
Right. True that.
Right. But my honesty and my ability to be accessible and vulnerable at the same time is what I'm trying to accomplish with this podcast. And hopefully a lot of my honesty and a lot of my realness will give people an opportunity to open up and talk and, you know, say what's on their mind. Because even on this conversation, you know, and we're going to wrap it up because we've been going about an hour, 15 minutes. Even in this conversation, bro, I've learned something about you that I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I learned some things I hadn't even considered prior to us talking about this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what I want to get to. Like, those are the valuable nuggets and the gems that I want to get to. That will only help me, but who will help people that's listening and the people that I'm actually talking to. You know what I'm saying? So, man, I appreciate this conversation, Jay, man. You have no idea how much I value, and I appreciate you as my friend and my brother. We got to get you back to the A, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm working on it, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, we got to get you back to the A.
Yeah, I'm ready now. I think I'm officially ready to come on back, you know, and plant my roots again, you know, and also to ultimately it's about being closer to my daughter. That's the real reason, you know, being closer to my daughter. I've been away in Dallas, you know, for the past.
It's hard. Like, that's what both of us, like, that's what we've both been doing for the last, 10, 12, 15 years. Yeah, traveling, man. And it's hard. And I know for you, you know, even having a special needs daughter, even though she will come stay with you, you know, for weeks at a time, summertime, stuff like that, like, it's still difficult because, for one, you got to protect, you got to provide, and you got to secure. You got to do all three of those things.
Absolutely.
Right? And being conducive to always being in the same city with her, it just wasn't conducive to you having to provide and protect. So I get it. I understand, because it was hard on my kids too. My kids didn't like the fact that I was traveling and working, and, you know, but you know, man, gotta pay them bills, man.
Yeah, gotta do what you gotta do.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
I remember my oldest daughter, Khalees, calling me one day crying, telling me Dad to come home. You know, that junk broke my heart, man. I'm talking about, it broke my heart.
Yeah.
I was a 2-hour flight away.
Yep.
But actually having my physical presence there was what she wanted.
True. Exactly. Same here. I've gone through the same challenge, still go through the same challenge with my daughter. Every time I get on the phone with her, I miss you, Daddy. You coming? You know, and just stuff like that. You know, it just kind of
that jump break it down, boy.
Yeah, man. You know, because she
know. Down.
You know, when she with her daddy, you know, she in her safe space, and she know we gonna do what we gonna do. That's my road dog. We gonna ride out. I'm gonna make sure she get her favorite foods, and we just gonna have a good time. You know, and I'm gonna let her be her. You know, and spend that time with her. But nah, man, I appreciate, man, this opportunity, man. I'd love to come back on. We can talk about other topics, other subject matters as well, too. You know,
man.
And I say, hey, man, I appreciate you as a friend, as a brother, you know, from another mother, man. And the 30 plus years that we've known each other, and all the thing we've experienced, we've endured, ups and downs and everything in between. Man, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't do it with anybody else other than my guy.
Yeah, wouldn't change it for the world.
Love you,
man.
Bro.
Yeah, I love you too, man. I appreciate you, man. I do. I really appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for opening up. Thank you for having a conversation with me. Thanks for just being my dog, man. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Thanks for just being my dog, man. This has been another episode of Me and Let's Chop It Up. I'm your host, Double D. I want to thank my buddy, my pal, my homeboy, my pal.
My old chum.
My buddy, old chum, old pal. My homeboy, my dog, man, my brother, Jay Gill, Jason McGill. He's Jay Gill to me, man. Jay Gill to all our homies, man. Jay Gill. Thrill McGill to the Georgia Tech family.
Yep. There you go.
But man, I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on, man. Thanks a lot for coming on.
Yep.
And this has been another episode of Me and Let's Chop It Up. Catch you again next week, Sundays, 11 a.m. Peace.
Peace.